Broadcasting live from Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, this is the Radio Hour, a convergence of Mast Media and LASR, Lute Air Student Radio. It's Tuesday, May 10th, and I'm Carly Stoffer.
I'm Libby Postavoit.
And I'm Paris Franklin. Glad to have you listening tonight as my colleagues from Mast Media and I bring you the latest in on-campus news, intriguing Lute life stories, and more. Make sure you visit mastmedia.plu.edu for all of this and more. So, I hear everyone had a blast last weekend. Let's all holla for Lala.
I didn't go, but I'll pretend I did so I can holla.
'Twas a good time. Who was it, Lala?
I saw you there looking really spiffy.
Hey, thanks, yo.
Oh, you guys had the fashion for Lala. I know this is an important element of it, correct?
It's true. I wore a tube top and denim flowy pants that slit all the way up my legs.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, like, Paris, you looked really, really, really hot that afternoon.
Hey.
And it wasn't just the weather.
Oh, thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Lala is our on-campus music festival that's held at the PLU golf course. Kind of imitating Lollapalooza, and we call it Lollapalooza, but we make it our own by spelling it with PLU.
Lollapalooza.
Although whenever
We're so
I hear
punny.
it, does anyone think of, like, okay, I watched Jimmy Neutron growing up. Anyone else?
Oh my gosh.
I think of
Yes.
Llama-palooza. Why don't we have that? That I would
Carl.
go to. Yeah.
So, like, we could, like,
Absolutely.
bring llamas to campus to sing to us.
I love it. I think this would be much more successful.
I would be the person crying on the llama.
I live.
But until then, perhaps we should actually discuss how Lala went, the real one.
About to say, I live right next to llamas. We can like rent them.
So this can
If
be
you
a
ever
reality.
need to casually rent a llama,
Just
Monica's
casually rent the
hookup.
llama.
I think it's time to write a letter to President Christ.
You know, 'cause I think so, because I didn't go to Lollapalooza, I have to admit, because I went home for the weekend. But if there was a Llama-palooza, I would be sure to fit that into my schedule. That is something
Worth it.
I would not miss.
Yes, but Lala was pretty great. I was there, I think, for the last, like, half hour of it. But Paris, how long were you there?
I was actually ducking in and out. It was super hot, and I am a very fair person. And so I was reapplying sunscreen
The
as
fair
is.
Paris.
The fair Paris. So I burned super easily.
Oh, I feel ya.
Yeah, and so I was trying to make sure that I wasn't overexposing myself to the heat at all.
Sure thing. That's
So,
smart.
Thank you. Yeah, I went for the first couple acts, and then I took off for a bit, went back to some air-conditioned space. I went back to the UC and ate lunch, and then I went back for a little while, and then I think I left again at some point, and then I came back for to make sure that I caught the final couple acts on the B and A stages.
Well, here at PLU, we apply sunscreen and take care of our skin, clearly.
A lot of people didn't apply sunscreen.
I'm sure I saw some tan folks.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there were some interesting burns walking around campus.
Who performed, by the way? Because I know we like to have the most up-and-coming artists in the area. I think we had Macklemore a few years ago, right?
We did. This year we had a lot more local artists who aren't quite as big as Macklemore, we'll give him that, but they were all wonderful. The headliner overall for the music festival is called Pickwick, and they are from Seattle. And then from our own campus, we also had Danae, and I forget her partner's name, but
okay,
she,
yeah.
Danae Magaha went, and so did Head Portal, who is also a band comprised of PLU students.
Very talented.
So
Awesome.
it was really fun to see some student artists as well.
That's really cool. And you know what? I mean, you said that, they aren't as big as Macklemore, but hey, you never know. Maybe someday they will be. I mean,
And hopefully they'll still come back and join us at Lollapalooza.
well, that's awesome. And I hope we also have a Llama-palooza someday.
Oh, I'm so in.
So just to remind you guys, you are listening to the Radio Hour, brought to you by Mast Media here on LASR, Lute Air Student Radio. I'm Carly, and up next we are talking about what else happened this weekend other than Lala. That's right, Mother's Day. We'll be sharing some sweet memories of our mothers, but first, a poem read by our lovely Libby.
Aw, thanks, Carly. That just touched my heart.
Absolutely,
All right,
Libby.
So I'm going to be reading The Lanyard by Billy Collins. The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor. when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift from my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard, or wear one, if that's what you did with them, but that did not stop me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light, and taught me how to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education. And here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift. Not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even.
That was a really sweet poem, Libby. So you said that's your mom's favorite poem, correct?
Yes, she always uses it to remind me that we'll never be even.
That's hilarious. We have to love our mother's sense of humor. So I recognize, not everyone out there has a close relationship with their mom, or maybe does not, have a mom in their life that they wish to remember on Mother's Day, and I extend my sympathy to all those people. I'm grateful enough to, and really just blessed to have a mom I can celebrate for Mother's Day, especially because she really stepped up and took the place when, some other family members were not quite so there. So I really had a fun time celebrating my mom this past weekend, which was actually why I missed Lala. I feel like when you have a good mom, you can't put into words how much you care about her. Like what we always say to each other is, I love you to the moon and back, because that's from that children's picture book, Guess How Much I Loved You.
Is that with the kangaroos?
It's
what animals are?
Bunnies.
Bunnies,
Yeah.
they're bunnies.
They're kind of, to be fair, they're awkward looking bunnies.
They're really interesting looking bunnies. I thought they were kangaroos as a child because I had an unhealthy obsession with Australia, but it's whatever. I love marsupials.
Whatever works for you. And I mean, she read that to me, and she always read The Giving Tree to me, and both of those poems I feel like just sum up, or those books just sum up my mom. It's, I love her to the moon and back, and she is my giving tree. So thank you for sharing that poem, Libby.
Oh, you're welcome. I love my mom too.
Did you guys do anything over the weekend to celebrate your mothers amidst Llama-palooza?
Well, right before Lala.
Get the message, PLU. President Kreitz, if you're listening, please.
Hint, my mom had just enough time to get a mani-pedi with me, and I was like, nails? Yes.
That sounds really sweet.
Also, I love my mom. So we just watched home improvement shows and got our nails done.
That sounds really nice to have some girl time with your mom.
That sounds relaxing.
It was fun.
My mom and I, we ate a lot of food. We, what better way to celebrate a holiday? I went to church with my mom and my sister and grandma, and then we just basically had a girls' party at home, a celebration of, in a way, lots of mothers in my family, because I made a lunch for the family, just like a bunch of fruit and English muffins and whatnot. I wanted to feel pretty sophisticated. And I was using silverware that was my grandma's. And then she pointed out to me the initials that were on it were like her grandmother. So it was pretty cool. I felt like we were kind of celebrating, generations of mothers that day. It was really cool. I think holidays like that are a cool time to kind of reflect on, traditions too and your family history. So, Any other Mother's Day shenanigans anyone wants to share?
Mine wasn't so traditional, you would say.
Oh boy, Monica.
It was the middle of the day. I woke up on Saturday and I'm like, I really want pizza for breakfast. So I ordered,
As one does.
Life of
as
a
one
college
does.
student.
That is my life. So I ordered 3 pizzas, one for each of myself, my brother, and my mom. My dad wasn't home at the time. And my mom decided to order Deadpool on demand to relive our day that we saw Deadpool together, and it was lovely.
This is an unusual Mother's Day, but
That sounds like an interesting thing to watch with your parents in general. Because from what I heard, it was not the most PG movie.
I never saw that movie.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. Ryan Reynolds.
I adored it.
Oh, okay. So now my interest is piqued. Okay.
Yes. Ryan Reynolds is great, and Deadpool is snarky enough to be fun.
Okay.
I always love like the snarky humor. I feel like it might be a trait I inherited from my mom.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of my personality traits, I feel like my best personality traits, and also the ones that I kind of am both proud of, yet also kind of laugh at, are inherited from my mom. She is a woman who speaks her mind, and I certainly inherited that from her, as well as her sarcasm.
It's really interesting. I actually look a lot like my mother, like
Okay.
physically. And so I've been to events my parents are divorced, and I've been to events on my father's side of the family, and people won't recognize me because they know who my dad is. They'll be like, "Oh, are you Chris's daughter?" And I'm like, "Yes, who are you?"
That's so interesting.
Because I look a lot like her. It's really funny.
That's really.
I think of my mom and my mom, she loves Golden Girls, and she got me addicted to Golden Girls at a young age. And I think of her and I like Dorothy and Sophia, except we're both Sophia.
Okay, that's funny.
Like my mom and I, we kind of share 2 main interests. I feel like, love for my brother and love for all our cats. Yeah.
Are these equal loves? I hope not.
I think she
wins.
loves. I mean, I do love my
the cat
cats,
wins.
but
Okay.
I hate to admit my brother wins.
Okay.
Aww.
Yeah, she's always the one who updates me on his life because he's kind of the strong and silent type.
The cat or the mom? Sorry, I got lost for a
The
second.
brother.
My brother's the strong and silent type. My mom has to update me because he loves me, but he also texts me very seldomly. So
Get the message if you're listening, brother. Notice that there is not a Brother's Day yet because you have not
You don't
stepped
deserve
up
it.
to
It
earn
rhymes.
a holiday.
it rhymes, but you didn't quite give birth to me.
I am ignoring the fact that there is not a Sister's Day either, but
Well,
I mean, Galentine's Day.
okay,
That's
yes.
close enough.
That would be
I like
lovely.
that.
I love Galentine's Day. I'm a
Yeah,
big
okay. I like that too. Yeah.
Me
It's
three.
basically just like all of the perks of Valentine's Day, but without the
With
actual
your lady friends
sole
instead.
purpose of Valentine's Day.
That is my Valentine's Day, though.
Yes, my mom always tells me the funniest stories about my brother. Like, my old high school was not the most politically correct of places, I would say.
Most high schools aren't, I don't think.
Yeah. So, my mom was the one who had to tell me one day when she picked me up from school, "Oh, your brother said the most interesting thing." "What?" I asked. "Oh, he just said as we were passing by your school, 'Oh, look, Mom, the BS meter's going off the charts.'"
Wow.
Interesting.
Yikes.
So
That's pretty funny.
Your brother
though.
sounds like a great guy.
he's my fave.
Truly one to
Don't tell him
spend
I said
time
that.
with.
Should we have him on the show sometime?
Oh yeah, guess we should have more guests on this show. I feel like
think
that would be a
so,
valuable
too.
use of our time.
Speaking of this show, in case you just tuned in or perhaps forgot what you were listening to, this is the Radio Hour. And the number to call in, if you want to talk to us, is 253-535-7332. That's 253-535-7332. I feel like I'm on an infomercial. Okay. Make sure to follow us on Facebook.com/PLU Mast Media or tweet us at PLU Mast to add your voice to the discussion. Maybe tell us what you did on your Mother's Day. And coming up after the break, we're talking about something that really isn't talked about enough, but here at the Radio Hour, we talk about the real issues. The PLU Ducks, otherwise known as our on-campus Kardashians. But first, here's my mom's favorite song, Time and Tide by Baja, in honor of Mother's Day, as well as her groovy taste in music. This is the Radio Hour, a convergence of mass media and laser. Enjoy the 80s.
And
Welcome back to the Radio Hour on Laser. Take it away, Helen.
That was Wake Me Up Before You Go Go by Wham. That was my mom's favorite song
Good
from the 80s.
taste.
It's a great song.
Before that was Time and Tide by Baja. And I believe that was Carly's mother's favorite song.
That's right. She's got pretty good taste in music. I have many memories of her singing that on a counter into a spoon. She's pretty hip. So next we're talking about, as promised, pretty interesting topic, and that would be our Kardashian ducks. Proof that drama is no stranger to college campuses. It doesn't matter what your species is. So piqued my interest in the past few months. Walking past the little pond on lower campus. You know what I'm talking about if you live on campus. There's a little bridge
There's a
between.
nice fountain.
Yeah, they've really like made it quite nice this year. They've worked on it a lot. It's improved a lot. And then we had a little guy living in the pond, not an actual guy. That would be worrisome. PLU probably wouldn't allow that. But we had a mallard duck, male duck, living in the pond. Just kind of walk past and say hi to him every day. And then the next week, like there's a male duck and a female duck, and they're hanging out, and it's like, oh boy, what does this mean? I've seen this go down before. Okay, all right, they're up to no good. And then the next week, of course, as promised, there's like this brood of ducklings. That's probably not the correct term. Anyway, there's ducklings in the pond, like, I don't know, somewhere between like 6 and 10 of them. And they were there for like one day, and everyone was really excited, and it was like blowing up Snapchat that there were ducklings in the PLU pond. And then the next day, they're just completely gone. And so my roommate and I, we walk past because we live in Flieger, and so we go between the Commons and Flieger, and we have to pass the pond all the time. And we're wondering what happened to the ducks. All the children are gone. Parents are nowhere to be seen. Okay. Then the next week, the dad's just there. Dad duck is just there by himself. No family in sight. Don't see him for another week. Then later, my roommate sees the mother duck chasing off daddy duck, like just yelling at him, like running into the bushes. She is clearly not happy with him. No children in sight, so now we don't know where the kids are. We're guessing the dad's, he was in charge of watching the kids, and now they're gone. And then like a week later, after not seeing the ducklings for a while now, Daddy Duck's just soaking up the bachelor pad again, just all by himself in the pond. So, what's up with that? I think probably what's up with that is that I don't really know about the breeding patterns of ducks and how they take care of their children, so I've just been really judgy. But has anyone else noticed this duck drama?
They're truly fascinating. I have not been on lower campus all that much, but I did recall seeing a series of Snapchats from multiple people. And they all ended up having this, like, couple of the year, and they were just these two cute little ducks walking around, and there were a series of captions that said things like relationship goals and get a man who can do both, as we've recently seen on the internet. So lots of nice duck Snapchats.
But where are the baby ducks, right? I mean, okay, so I did read. I finally did some research. I was doing a lot of speculation. Shouldn't just start talking and gossiping before you know the truth. So I looked up online like breeding patterns of ducks, and it said that the female, unfortunately, mainly does the raising of the little ducklings on her own, and that the dad will kind of be stationed nearby somewhere to like watch out for incoming people. Just he'll kind of like be the bodyguard, and she meanwhile is like probably, cleaning the duck dishes and, like, giving them duck baths and stuff. They probably don't need baths because they swim, but whatever. Anyway, so, well-deserving of Mother's Day. This mama duck is doing all the work. But then I also, like, ran into, like, how, female and male ducks actually have children. And then I discovered that, like, male ducks are, like, super sexual predators of the bird world.
It's kind of frightening.
Yeah, Google kind of had me scarred. I probably have some really weird-looking Google searches now, like like breeding patterns of ducks, male duck sexual predators. What?
Yeah, didn't a certain part of the male duck's anatomy
It's
look
a
like a corkscrew?
Yep.
Oh well,
and it stays.
We will leave that up to your guys' imaginations, but
If you're a child and you're listening to the show, ask your parents about it later.
it's probably just it's probably just its feathers. What? Anyway. But so now I'm back to not liking the daddy duck. And so when I feel a little bad, we were being pretty silly, but when my roommate and I walked past the pond the other day from the commons, we just looked at him and we were like, how can you live with yourself? Shame on you, sir. And like, we didn't even really do anything. Like, we weren't talking loudly. The duck literally flies away. It just takes off.
He knew.
Like, yeah, he did
knew you were
know.
insulting
he
him.
knew. We're like, yeah, we're catching you. We know what you're up to, dude. And where are your kids, by the way?
So-
Where's your wife?
Donald Duck knew that you sided with Daisy in the divorce.
Well, yeah.
I never realized
I
they
think
got
so.
divorced.
Wait,
You
did
just
they?
crushed my dreams.
That childhood
Well,
is over.
Oh, no. I meant figuratively.
Oh,
I'm sure they're very
Okay.
much together in Disney because Disney does not believe in
I'm
divorce.
sorry, but after Kermit and Miss Piggy, I can't take anymore.
gonna
Like,
say-
no, don't do that to me again.
Disneyland just got real awkward. You can only take pictures with them separately.
If you want to see all like didn't they have like triplets that were their like nephew triplets?
Right.
Like you can only visit them on like every other holiday now.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering about the custody with the ducks.
Yeah.
Anyway, just proof that once again, drama is everywhere in the animal kingdom. You are listening to the Radio Hour, brought to you by Mast Media here on LASR, Lute Air Student Radio, where we talk about the real issues, like ducks. I'm Carly. Next up, Libby is giving us an update on the ongoing sexual assault forums. Take it away, Libby.
Thanks, Carly. So this is slightly more serious than duck sexual predators. This is regarding real sexual predation. I believe that's how you say it. On campus. So PLU is trying to address incidents of sexual misconduct, specifically changes to policy that students addressed that they wanted during the first sexual assault forum. Initially, Student Life promised to have 3 forums. However, I believe just due to the limited amount of time that's left during this year, they've narrowed it down to 2 and are promising to revise sexual assault policy and send like a report of that, I believe, before the end of the year.
Okay.
And what's interesting is, according to many people who attended the forum, I was not one of them, so take my words with a grain of salt. It was essentially a rehash of a lot of what most of us went through during first year orientation with regards to learning what consent was and
How to be an
no
active
means no,
bystander.
active bystander.
Consent
exactly.
is a hearty yes, by the way.
yes.
Hearty.
Enthusiastic consent. That's the term we use here at PLU. In addition, the head of campus safety, Greg Primo, went into detail about no contact orders. Essentially, there's a confusion that some students may have that a no contact order is a restraining order. A no contact order is not something that can really legally be enforced. However, it does say that if a student who the no contact order is issued against decides to contact the student who wants no contact with them, that they could be suspended or expelled. What's interesting, however, is that most of the people that I talked to about Forum 2 didn't seem very happy with it. They believed that they didn't have enough time to actually ask questions about policy, and they didn't feel that specifically the Title IX staff were as receptive towards their problems. Many students told me that the Title IX investigators emphasized how difficult their jobs were, especially in handling sexual misconduct cases, because those are not pleasant and those are complicated. However, emphasizing the process instead of emphasizing how their job is to help students and how they'll do that to the best of their ability and possibly look at policy measures to do so, that wasn't a big emphasis, according to students who went there.
That's discouraging.
So,
Yeah, I haven't gone to the sexual assault forums myself, but here at PLU, sexual assault has definitely been a huge conversation in the past few months, especially since Mia Higashiyami started a blog entitled PLU is Protecting Perpetrators, in which she invited others to post their stories. She posted her own as well about how PLU dealt with sexual assault cases, and the ways in which they thought that could be improved, and the shortcomings. And since then, I think campus has at least responded appropriately by holding these forums, but it sounds like they haven't been yielding the results people had hoped for.
yeah.
That's so sad to me that they couldn't even fit in the amount of sessions that they told us they would be able to.
Really?
Yeah, because like it's obviously hard to schedule something like that, especially at the end of the year when everyone's busy. But I feel as though it would have been safer if they knew how many they could fit in, said that amount, and then possibly even added one. Because to me, it makes it seem like they're not treating it as important as it should, or like as importantly as it should be, if they're saying we are going to do 3 talks and then just the 2 will do then.
Yeah.
Right, it makes it seem like it's not as much of a priority.
Yeah. In addition, it's like when people who are on the faculty don't emphasize how they're going to change policy, like not even like a rough sketch, but just say, oh, we're going to do that, it seems like a bit of a ripoff.
Seems a little too vague. You know, we want specific action, specific results. And, maybe the fact is just that in the, early phases of change, usually change, especially at like a level such as a university, especially in government, just things like that. In big organizations, it takes a long time to see change, unfortunately. I at least like to think, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that this year, from Mia's blog to her TED Talk to just this broader awareness on campus of how PLU handles these cases, I hope that's going to lead to change in the future, but I just think it's probably going to be a long process, in reality.
Yes. In addition, I think I mentioned this in a very long statement the last show, but I think that it is worth noting that PLU's academic dishonesty sanctions are much more severe and frankly like consistently enforced than sanctions for sexual misconduct, including rape.
That is quite ridiculous. I could hardly believe that when I read that.
Yeah, and I have so many feelings for this that I'm trying to
I can tell.
tone down.
I can tell, Libby. So anyway, here at PLU, we are just trying to improve and let our campus know that we think it should improve how it deals with sexual assault. So perhaps we'll be seeing more updates on that next year.
Hopefully we will.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Libby and Carly. And coming up after the break, we're opening up the old family album and reminiscing tales of our moms. But first, here's Wildflower by Skylark for the queen bee of my family. Thank you for my life, you lovely little gnome. I love you. This is the Radio Hour, a convergence of mass media and laser.
That was Close to You by the Carpenters, my mom's favorite song.
Aww.
Before that was Wildflower by Skylark, Monica's mom's favorite song. You're listening to the Radio Hour. As promised, we're rounding our time together up with some funny stories, moms included.
I can't wait.
So, Julia, I heard that you had something to tell me about a certain cake in your mom.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I did not tell my mom I would be on the show tonight because it wasn't in the original plans, because she would probably be mad at me for telling the story.
Then it must be a good story.
But here's the thing about my mom, is that she's great. She's practically designed to be a mom. Like, her number one interests in life are kids and cooking, and it just feels like she was, written for some sort of like sitcom where the writers didn't want to think too much, and they were like, what do moms do? That's my mom. But the one thing that she doesn't do is bake. She does not like baking. Even though she's a great cook, she thinks it's too scientific. She doesn't like how there are so many rules you can break with baking. And one story in particular, one time my mom, she did her best. She tried to bake a cake, and I believe it was a lemon poppy seed cake that she tried to bake. And so she takes it out of the oven, and she notices it's kind of stiff. And then after they waited for the cake to cool down, they tried to cut into it, and they couldn't. They could not cut into it. So they tried their best. They got out a big, like, serrated knife, and they sawed into it, and then they were like, no, we're not going to eat this. So they were like, hey, I know, we'll give it to the dog. And our dog at the time, her name was Ginger. She was this sweet dog. She was so great. And, like, she wasn't picky. So they were like, yeah, she'll love it. And so they give her the piece of cake, and she pokes at it for a while, and she sort of looks at it, and then she picks it up. And she takes it out into the backyard, and they're like, oh, is she going to eat it? And they watch her as she digs a hole and buries the cake in the ground.
My goodness.
Because she pretty much thought it was a bone.
That is hilarious.
She would not even give it a pity bite.
Wow.
No, I mean, I'm sure she tried. I'm sure she gave her fair effort.
It was
she
too
was a
hard
very
for her
sweet
dog teeth.
But, yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, just, proof that, even our mothers are human, no one's a superhero. But I'm sure she makes up for what she lacks in baking in every other area.
Yeah, certainly with cooking. I mean, she's, like, even with our huge extended family, like, she's the one who cooks, and she is very proud
Just
of
the
that.
baking. Okay, thanks for that story, Julia.
And then there's my mom.
What about your mom, Monica?
Oh, Mom. Please don't kick me out of the house for this. Okay. So when my mom was 16 years old, she was making meatloaf for the very first time, a proud family tradition. Her parents were teaching her how to make meatloaf. My grandfather told her, you can put anything in this meatloaf. Anything. Now, he probably expected maybe just like some spices, maybe some cumin or some paprika or something like that. I don't know. So, she makes the meatloaf. She brings it out to her father. He takes a bite, and he gives this very... He didn't try to make it look too disgusting, but it's quite a face. And I wish you could see my face, and then I'd reimagine it. He said, Sherry, honey, this is awfully sweet. Come to find out, my mom put vanilla in that meatloaf.
You can put literally anything. She took that literally.
Yeah, she took it literally.
Karma bit him in the butt.
Yep.
I mean, it's a savory and sweet treat.
Yes.
In a meat and bread form.
Delicious.
It was.
I
that's
too
funny.
put vanilla with my meat products.
So,
What shenanigans were your mom
But-
up to, Carly?
oh,
To make it up to my
we'll
mom.
let Monica finish up first here.
To make it up to my mom, because that is a running gag in our family, and it has been for years, to make it up to my mother, I'm going to say the story of when I screwed up cooking for the first time. I was about maybe 13 years old, and I wanted Jell-O.
Oh boy.
You know this is going to be good. My mom
You
wasn't
lit it on
awake,
fire.
and let me finish. Don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
My mom wasn't awake. My dad was at work, and I really wanted some Jell-O. So I take it, and I try to make it. And you know how you're supposed to, like, boil the water? And then you're supposed to refrigerate the water?
Right.
But you're supposed to boil the water? So, like, a classic thing, it's like boil a cup of water. So what I did was, I took a measuring cup, and I filled it with water. And I heated up the stove.
No.
And I put the pan on the stove.
Okay.
And I took the water in the measuring cup, and I put both of them, in the pan that was being heated by the stove.
You were 13, weren't you? I mean, I'm thinking
I
this
know.
is okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't thinking. And,
I mean, if no one
About-
teaches you how to cook, you don't know.
well, yeah. But about, let's say 5-10 minutes later, I see smoke coming up
Well,
from
that's
the stove.
weird. I
Yeah,
wonder what
didn't
that's
expect
from.
that. And I look, and the cup with the water in it is melted to the pan.
Look out, Martha Stewart. Well, looks like the cooking skills may be running the family. That's awesome, Monica.
If it makes you feel any better, Monica, my brother and I, we used to have 2 microwaves in our house, and we only have 1 microwave in our house now because we thought it was a really fun game to see what we could microwave.
Oh no.
So-
No.
That was slightly more intentional, but it still didn't end well.
That's okay. I once met a guy who told me he microwaved his cat,
That's
but that's a story for another
that's
day.
wrong.
That sounds absolutely terrible. You
Sounds
know
very
what?
wrong.
On the actual humor level, my funny story about my mom. There are plenty, but it actually does not have to do with cooking. This one time I was, I think, junior or senior in high school, and the guy I was dating at the time, who I'm actually still dating now, but somehow, even through this,
He stuck around.
yeah, my mom, we're sitting just on the couch trying to not be like super awkward because we're super awkward because it's like the first time he's like come over to my house, and we're probably sitting like feet apart, but my mom's gonna go to the store or something, and she backs out, and then she runs back into the house, and she says, "Did you hear that?" And we both say no, and she's like, "Okay, first off, I'm really, 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 really sorry, and I have good insurance." And we're like, "What?" And then she like hands my boyfriend like her insurance information, and she's like, "I just backed into your car. I totally didn't see it. I'm so sorry." And like this was a big dent. But, I mean, now it's funny because, I mean, at one point we broke up and I was like, "Ha, take that." And then now I just see it as like, you will forever remember me because I am imprinted on your heart and on your car.
And your vehicle.
So,
Oh my gosh, that's a love story if I ever heard one. I have kind of a quick one. I hope it's as funny as that. All right. It's not me being a klutz. It's my mom being a klutz because I love this story. All right. So this is something that her mom told her. So it's like a cross-generational thing. But so apparently when she was a child, she was young, really blonde, really talkative. Really talkative. So there were a bunch of guys repairing her house for some weird thing when she was around 4 or 5. And she liked talking to them while they worked. This became a little bit tedious for them after a while. So one day, she went up to these worker guys, as usual, to talk to them about things that she considered very, very important, more important than their work. And this one guy was a little bit, he'd had it with her. And he was like, "Well, you're just a little blabbermouth, aren't you?" Very professional.
ouch.
And she was quite offended. She said, "I'm not a little blabbermouth. I'm a big blabbermouth."
That is the best response ever.
And
What a sassy child.
I know. I hope she's passed this on to me.
I love that. You know what? I think she succeeded. I think you have that spunk, Libby.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, this has been another lovely episode of the Radio Hour. As if you had any time to call us in, the number to call us in would be 253-535-7332. But in the meantime, make sure to follow us on Facebook.com/PLU Mast Media or tweet us at PLU Mast to add your voice to the discussion. We want to hear you. Here's Eddie adding his voice to the discussion as we are regretful to share that this is our last Radio Hour of the school year. Take it away, Eddie.
Well, thank you, Carly. It's been such a great year in this experiment into radio because you know what, folks? Radio does matter. Radio is not a dying medium. It's a medium that's having a rebirth, and we are having fun. We have had so much fun this year, and it's been just a blessing to be a part of this, to be the executive producer for the Radio Hour, and to be the program director for Lute Air Student Radio and Mast Radio, and to work with everybody who we've got here, and everybody including Julia, Libby, Carly, Paris, Monica, and Helen, and even some other people who's been on the show before, Samantha Lunn, Brooke Thames, Courtney Miranda's been on the show before. I know Sam Ellefson's been on a few times, and just a plethora of people, and we've been so happy to do what we do here. And of course, it's just been a blessing, and I'm going to miss this, and I'm going to miss working with all of you, but I think you're doing a great job, and I think there's a great future next year for all of our mass media shows on LASR. Of course, brought to you by all of our colleagues at the Mast, which next week will be our last Mast magazine of the year. So make sure you check that out. Good luck on your finals, everybody. And, be blessed and be at peace. This has been a wonderful school year. And by the way, save KPLU. KPLU.org, 5.75 million. Radio still matters, people, and it matters in Western Washington. And we're going to take that station independent as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Eddie. So I know that we only have a couple more weeks of school left, but while we still have time, listen to Lute Air Student Radio all week for an eclectic mix of music and talk. Make sure to listen to After Hours with Rami and Kyle, Thursdays at 7 p.m. And listen to Sports Talk with Christian Bond and Kellen Westering, Fridays at noon.
I'm Carly Stauffer.
And I'm Paris Franklin. This has been the Radio Hour, a convergence of Mast Media. Oh boy, I lost it. A convergence of Mass Media and LASR. Thanks for listening. Good night, and we look forward to talking to you next fall.
And enjoy listening to our last song, The Circle Game, which my mother sang to me all the time when I was younger. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. We love
Good
you.
night.
Good night.